Can you masturbate while quitting pornography? The number one question that I receive in my email and from people who are just learning about pornography addiction is that will masturbating negatively impact my freedom from pornography addiction? And the answer to that is it depends. Okay. It depends firstly on your level of addiction, and secondly, for how long you've stayed off pornography and masturbation. And as a third thing, your beliefs about sex and masturbation. Fourthly, your biochemistry. And all four factors must be taken into consideration before you make a decision on masturbating during your reboots. So, I'm going to take some time to address this today because it really does deserve an in depth explanation and breakdown. So, the first is your level of addiction. Now, the level of your addiction plays a role in determining when you can masturbate during your reboots. And if you aren't sure what your level is, I highly recommend you watch my video on the different levels of your pornography addiction. I think it's also called on my channel, Why is it so hard to quit pornography? And if you are, let's say, a level 5 and above, masturbation is going to hurt your recovery because your addiction at this point, you're using it to medicate pain. So your pain could be strong emotions, it could be a deep unresolved trauma or issue, or it could be loneliness or stress. Masturbation is an entrenched part of your addiction cycle. So when you stop viewing pornography, you may feel a little bit better, but you're still going to keep those neural pathways firing when you masturbate to, let's say, medicate some sort of pain during your reboots. And that's when you get back to pornography. That means your brain is not going to rewire and you're not going to reboot because masturbation still uses those neural pathways. The second is how long you've stayed off porn and masturbation. And while we're on the topic of time, I think it would be helpful to mention that the concept of time for a man who's struggling with this behavior with pornography and masturbation is skewed. Do you ever wonder why, after years of avoiding relapses, you make a strong determination not to relapse? And then randomly you relapse? It's very disappointing for a lot of men because you would think that all the pain from your past relapses should have been enough warning to alert you that watching pornography is going to lead to shame, to guilt, to depression, to low self-esteem, and so on. Here's the reason why you seem to forget your pain. There's a part of your brain called the midbrain that is responsible for your addiction. It's also the most ancient part of your brain. It's the part of your brain which is responsible for your survival, for sex, for hunger, for violence, for escaping threats, things that require quick, large doses of chemicals and neurotransmitters. But here's the thing, your midbrain's memory sucks, okay? It evolved for the most primal of functions, to eat, to have sex, to procreate, to escape danger, that sort of thing. It did not evolve to store complex information, so it just follows instinct, like the animal that it is. So when you get bored or stressed or lonely and you expose it to multiple tube clips, you move from one thing to the other, to stepmom, to bang, to anal, to whatever it is that you watch over a 2 hour period, it gets trained to react to that stimuli, and that's all it does, right? That's all it remembers. It's not concerned about how bad or how terrible you feel after acting out, because as far as it's concerned, you are alone. So it's done its job. And this is why you never seem to feel the pain emotionally when you're about to relapse. The part of your brain that makes logical decisions is called your neocortex. Now, you know on a logical level that you're going to feel pain, but that doesn't matter because you've trained your midbrain harder than you've trained your neocortex. So a good reboot system, like what I do with my clients, trains you how to easily give your neocortex power over your midbrain. So with that being said, if you haven't stayed off pornography and masturbation for at least a minimum of 90 days, and found alternative ways to handle the pain that your midbrain is reacting to, you are going to slip again to pornography. Now, if you are medicating some sort of pain and you don't develop coping skills to do so in the next 90 days, my suggestion is for you to extend the time frame until you've demonstrated some sort of competence in dealing with stress, in dealing with loneliness, in dealing with strong emotions, and any other deeper issues you might have, even traumatic issues. Now, there are some men who can masturbate once in a while after a 90-day period, right? There are some men who have been off pornography, not just for 90 days, but they've put multiple months behind that. They are usually men who are not medicating pain with pornography. They usually have a compulsive problem with pornography due to overexposure to high-speed internet, not as a need to feel better about anything else. It's just a habit for them. And honestly, this is more common for men under the age of 25. So the more years you have over 25 struggling with pornography, the higher your chances that you are medicating with pornography. And if you're 32 years and above, I'll just tell you right now, you're medicating something, right? So this data is gleaned from over 15,000 porn reboot clients and all the clients I've also worked with one-on-one. The third is your beliefs about sex and masturbation. Now, if you're not having sex due to your religious beliefs, due to trauma, like sexual abuse, due to your age, your inability to do so, that means, like extreme social anxiety, mental illness, some beliefs about your attractiveness or what it takes to attract women, then go back to number 2 and listen to it again. Now, if your religious beliefs are holding you back, I recommend you stay off pornography for 90 days and then develop coping skills for your pain. If masturbation is a sin for you, there's nothing wrong with that, but I suggest you seek counseling because many times that is your unresolved issue. The pain and guilt will keep being medicated by your midbrain. So be very discerning while seeking help. Be very careful. There are many professionals out there who are going to take advantage of your deep guilt because of your religious conviction. And then they keep you coming back over and over again to work with them. But then you're 6 months into this thing and then, nothing has changed. Personally, I turn down many religious men who reach out for help because while many of you are really great guys, while your lives are in order, sometimes your shame and your guilt is just the number one thing holding you back. It's religious shame and guilt, right? Now, this can be fixed by developing coping skills and deep self-reflection. And I've also seen a lot of men who got married, and that did help them out. But marriage won't fix your addiction, right? It doesn't work when your shame is religion-based. Religion-based recovery and counseling groups often make this situation worse, and I've seen them drag men to the depths of depression. My recommendation is to seek a science-based system via a counselor, coach, or recovery group first before you run to religion. This is a brain thing before it's a religious thing. And what's the proof? Well, the proof is that I'm not religious and I have the highest success rate when coaching pastors and religious leaders than anyone else out there. And when they're finally in control of their sexual behavior, I just hand them back to Jesus, right? Now, if you've experienced sexual abuse or anything related, you must seek therapy in addition to coaching because there's some deeper issues there. And if you have a problem with dating, if you're too young to have sex, please go back to number 2, right? Do not email me asking for help because I cannot legally help anyone under the age of 18. I do have a free course. I have age-appropriate YouTube videos, and there are numerous forums for you out there on the internet. I also have videos on how to speak to your parents or your guardians about your problem. Now, if you have social anxiety and you are a grown man, you have to manage it. I didn't say fix it, but learn how to manage it. Manage it to the point that you can go on a date with women. And I say this because I personally struggled with social anxiety. It really messed me up for years. And even today, as an introvert, if I spend too much time in my offices, just speaking to clients, shooting videos, recording podcasts, and doing research, my social anxiety levels are prone to rise. So I have to manage it. And this is why I try to be very proactive about live group coaching, about speaking publicly and traveling as much as I can, just to learn how to manage that area of my life. It never goes away. We just have to keep trying to manage it. Now, if you feel that, let's say you are unattractive, it is a combination of 2 things. It's poor self-esteem and ignorance. Every man has something about him that is attractive. If you're overweight, lose weight, no matter what. There's never been so many resources on losing weight available in the history of mankind. It's 100% your fault if you are overweight. Now, if you feel like you look like an average, low testosterone, boring guy, then fix that and become a slightly above average testosterone interesting guy. And you can do this by doing simple things, get a cool haircut, get your testosterone levels checked. Some of you are depressed because your testosterone levels are low, and there is a link to an in-home test that we offer through our labs at Elevated Recovery in the description below to get your levels tested. Get fit, go to the gym, wear fitting clothes, develop interesting, non-nerdy habits that women find attractive, music, martial arts, travel, dance, the list goes on, right? I had to put down the video game controller. I had to give up World of Warcraft and turn down my nerd vibe a notch or two in order to have healthy sex on a regular basis. And if you struggle with a diagnosed mental illness, it is not a sexual death sentence. Embrace it. I have family members who struggle with severe mental illness, but they've still found love and success in spite of it. So if your medications are ruining your sex life, speak to your doctor about your need to fix your social and sex life in a healthy way and let him know that it can't happen if your sex drive is non-existent due to medication. So this leads us to the final consideration, and that is your biochemistry. Now, when you struggle with a compulsive sexual behavior, certain chemicals in your body are involved, and you are dependent on some of these chemicals when you either become very tolerant of them in high amounts or you experience withdrawal when they are taken away from you. Withdrawal is simply your body and your brain's readjustment to the removal of a substance or some sort of stimuli which has a significant effect on your body. You must understand your unique biochemistry when quitting pornography and masturbation addiction, and everyone reacts differently. So I'll use myself as an example. Personally, during my recovery, when I stayed off pornography, even if I masturbated once in the early days, I would become extremely demotivated. Like I would go from a 10 to a 4 in motivation within hours. So I experimented and I tried masturbating again without pornography after 4 months. And this time I went from a 10 to like a 2 in motivation. I didn't want to do anything except play video games, watch movies, and I experienced a serious and long-lasting drop in my dopamine levels whenever I masturbated. So that was my unique biochemical response during my reboot as a porn addict. And that was when I decided to give up masturbation for good at that point. Now, guys, this was way back in like 2007, 2008, so that might not be the case for you, and my life has definitely changed since then. You may experience a drop in energy and you might feel fine the next day, but if you find that that's the case for you, again, go back to point number 2 in this video. Your diet, your sleep, your schedule, and your lifestyle also plays a huge role in your reboot. So if you abuse alcohol, if you smoke, if you live on fast food and sugar, your recovery is always going to be harder compared to the man who drinks alcohol in moderation or not at all. The man who doesn't smoke, who eats clean, and maintains a consistent sleep schedule, right? Now, the truth is I could have just given you a cookie cutter answer to the question of whether you can masturbate while trying to quit pornography. But unlike other people out there, I understand that every man's situation is absolutely different. You cannot apply a template to someone's addictive behavior.